There's this assumption that just because someone is older, there's this ticking time clock of either is your purpose going to be fulfilled because you have a family or is it not? And it's like, as you grow older, you just realize it's not that big of a deal to hit these milestones that the world puts on you. It's like if she has these 3 kids and this $1 million husband, then it's fine. But if not, it's okay, and life moves on.
Well, I mean, it's not a societal pressure necessarily. There's a biological pressure too.
It is also a societal pressure.
Yes,
but
it's
can
not
read the
just
comments. These are not about like her biology. The comments are about societally she's sturdy.
Well, the comments are not really part of the conversation.
But those are part of society because we're performing on a stage right now.
Yes, there is a societal, I suppose, some degree of societal expectation, but there's a biological reality that you have a limit in terms of when you can get pregnant and bring that child to term. Hold on, why don't we do this TTS while we're...
I personally am looking to freeze my eggs and then have surrogates and then start a family when I'm like 40. Okay,
but you have the money to do that. And it's not a guarantee that even works. See, that's a surrogate's very expensive.
So there's like boatloads of issues here. I was like starting to make a list. It was starting to get real long. It kind of just looks like this sloppy mess. Basically, the whole thing is a disaster of what she just said. First of all, societal pressure is going the other way now. Societal pressure is not, it used to be societal pressure, get married, have kids, have a family, get married young, have your kids young. That used to be the societal pressure. That is not what's happening now. The societal pressure on women is the other way now. The societal pressure coming down from modern media, coming down from the feminist movement is you do you. You don't need a man. Freeze your eggs. Delay, delay, delay. Invest in your career. Do something for yourself. That man could leave you and you'll be all alone. It's not grounded in factual reality or data or statistics in terms of what leads to female happiness, in terms of who actually divorces whom, because we know that women divorce men far more often, and we know some of the reasons why that happens. So it's not grounded in truth. In the truth. It's grounded in this desire for women to be on this independent journey, which makes them less and less likely to pair with a man, which destabilizes the family unit, etc. That is the goal. So you talk about societal pressure. Yeah, societal pressure is toward what you're saying right now. The freeze the eggs, I'll get a surrogate. Also, there's something deeply broken in women. If your instinct is to say what she's saying here, there is nothing wrong with surrogacy if that's, although, listen, I'm learning a lot about surrogacy too. There's a lot of stuff there's some darkness in there. So I shouldn't say there's nothing wrong. But if you make a decision that you want to go the route of freezing your eggs, if you make a decision that you want to get a surrogate because you have no other option, there's women struggling. We have a fertility crisis in this country right now. In the world, actually, for a number of reasons. Women are struggling, having kids. So if that becomes a last resort option for you, you're trying to have a kid, let's say you're married, you're trying, it's not happening for you, then you go the route, okay, let's try, egg-free, let's try all this other stuff. They have all this fancy technology out on. I'm not going to tell you what to do at all in any respect. That's your body, it's your family, it's your decision making. But if you on day one are saying, oh, I'm just going to get a surrogate. I'm just going to freeze my eggs. I'm just going to have kids at 40. You are detached from your own. It's like you couldn't get farther from the womb, your own womb. Like you are completely detached from motherhood, from the joys of motherhood, from, the idea that you would want to nurse your own baby, from the intimacy, a different kind of intimacy of that experience with a child that you're growing inside your body. Your number one instinct should be want to do that naturally and should be to want to do that the way that God, the universe, humanity intended. That should be your number one instinct. If you can't make that happen, I understand the pain, by the way. I have friends that have gone through the pain of not being able to do that. And you go and you try to figure out another route, that's very different. But for you to want to skip what's most natural to your body and most natural to your anatomy, skip all of that, avoid all of that on purpose, and go to what's much more detached from your body, that's odd to me. That tells me that something's breaking in women. They're buying the talking points. And by the way, because she is so sexually loose and because she is treating sex in such a flippant way, and because there's such a deep lack of intimacy in her own sexual experiences on a routine basis, I guarantee you those two things are connected. Okay? Just think about what I said. And think about it on a smaller scale with a woman with a body count of maybe 50 or 30 or 20, because she is disconnected from her body, her womb as well. Biology plays a role in all of this. And the less and less close you get to what nature intended, the more problematic you're going to be in multiple ways of your life. It just is. It's going to manifest in odd relationship dynamics. It's going to manifest in odd mother-child dynamics. It just is. It just is. What else was I going to say here? Also, all those things are not a guarantee. So you can't want, egg freezing and, implantation and all of that stuff and surrogacy, and there's no guarantee there. So if you're going to say, oh, I'm going to do that at 40, well, then it better, if you really want kids, then you're banking on that, right? You're putting yourself outside the window where there's going to be a lot of room to breathe in the trial and error years. So this is just bad advice. It's just bad advice. And if she wants to do this with her life, fine. But if she's given this out like this should be the new direction that women look to and what women pursue, bad advice. Very, very bad advice. Going to lead to a lot of deeply miserable women who ultimately do want children and do want families. And this delay is going to hurt them in very big physical and emotional ways. Okay, let's keep playing.
So most women cannot afford to do that.
But that's why I'm saying I am.
Oh, actually,
Okay.
let's go to,
I'm not-
stop that. 120/30. Let's go to 120/30.
For a lot of women, it's not necessarily like a mandatory part of their lives to start a family anymore.
No, of course not. It's not mandatory.
It's cool if we do, but it's not really a goal I aim for to become a milestone in my life.
Would you agree, though, that generally speaking, most women want to have a family, want to have kids? Not all, but most women.
I don't know if most women right now want to have a family.
Okay, most.
I think
more
you
than
want
50%.
me to say that, but I don't think
More
a
than
lot of women,
50%.
especially now that they have their own jobs and are able to do more things with their lives and also have kids at a later age, a lot of women don't really want kids right now.
That's not true.
Are you sure you want kids right now?
So this is diluted. This This woman is disconnected from her body. She's disconnected from her biology. She's disconnected from her biological nature. It's because of how she's treating sex. I feel very comfortable making that assessment. She's made a living out of this fickle interaction, out of this, she talks about, doing trains. This has become a big game to her. But what's getting lost in that is her connection to her womanhood, to her ability to bear children, to what that all means, to the intimacy and sacredness of that process. So she's also disconnected from the reality that most women do want children. Not all, again, but most women do want children. Most women will say, oh, I can't do it now. And why is that? Because this is what happens. You get out of, and let me tell you this from the perspective of somebody who was an achiever growing up in life. I always was very diligent in school. And part of it was just because I was wired that way. I was like a little OCD, honestly. So I was very diligent in school, came out, excelled, valedictorian of my college class. And then there was this expectation that I was going to do something. To be perfectly honest with you, I didn't want to do all that much. I loved school. I loved learning. I loved the environment. I wanted to be a college professor at one point because I loved it. But I was I wasn't competitive in the sense of now I have to get the internship. I didn't do one internship in school. I didn't want to do it. I wasn't just waiting to get into corporate America. Couldn't stand it. Took one corporate job. I was out. So there was this expectation that was placed on me. I went to graduate school. I went for 1 year. I hated it so much. I left. I was like, I don't want to do this. Because for me, it was about the experience, but I didn't have this end goal all the time. But what is expected of women is you go through school. It's like, oh, you're expected to go through school and excel. Then you oftentimes come out, you've got debt, you've got all sorts of things. Then it's expected, okay, you're on your own 2 feet. You got to go get a job. You invest in a career. You're paying off your debt. Now you're in the grind. Now it's expected of you to climb that ladder. You've got to pay your rent. You're taking care of yourself. So it's always this idea of kids are over here, right? Oh, I have to be financially stable. Now comes in all of that language about don't lean on a man. Don't rely on a man. So they teach women to be afraid that if they leave that career or if they make a choice to say, I don't really want to do this, I'm just going to let, I met this great guy, I'm going to let him do it. That's somehow a dangerous, vulnerable position for that woman to be in. So society preaches, no, you stay in it. You earn your own money. You do all this. And what you have is these women who get to a late age. Suddenly they wake up, they're 30, and they're like, oh my God, I want 3 kids. How am I going to, I need to meet someone today. And if I meet somebody, I'm going to have to date them for a while first. And then we're going to get engaged. And then we're going to get married. Oh, this is the timeline starts to panic them. And they're not 20 anymore. And they're starting to, realize that the 22-year-olds are out there, some of them looking for the same thing. So this whole this whole structure gets in your head, and there's these societal, and you want to talk about societal expectations? That's the societal expectation. I lived it. So, and even though I wasn't hardwired to like want, I really wasn't. I was very, like, people see this fancy career, but like I was not hardwired to achieve in that sense. I really wasn't. Other than like personal achievement in school, because I just really liked it. I liked to be a student. I could have been a student forever, you know. That's what happens to women. That's what happens to women. So it's not about, oh, women don't want kids. It's that they do want them, but they're told that their path needs to do all of this other stuff first. And then that's why the wall comes and the panic comes. It's real. It's real. People who care about women should understand that stuff is real, that they experience. And what I'm trying to do is prevent that, not pretend it doesn't exist. If you like the short clip and want to watch the full episode, click here. And if you want to connect with me one-on-one on Connect, you're going to click right here. Let's get to talking.